Sit down. Good evening and welcome everyone to our annual meditation retreat. It is such a great blessing for us to have a senior meditation master with us today and also a good participation. And let us make a wish that we may have a great insightful weekend this time. So first of all, I would like to welcome our most venerable Bhante Rahula, and then we can observe the 8 non-monastic precepts. So this year we were so fortunate to have Bhante Rahula in person in our Buddhist center. In fact, this is the first time Bhante Rahula came to this new location, and he was quite happy with the new place, and he even went to the creek. And so tomorrow we are going to do our trail. So he's quite happy with the progress and the new place. So Bhante Rahula has been helping Pittsburgh Buddhist Center from the very beginning. I remember that he came to conduct meditation retreat in 2007, which was the very formative period in our Buddhist Center, and then he started to come every year afterwards to conduct meditation retreat. And now, and during that time, Bhante Rahula was the vice abbot of Bhavana Society Forest Monastery in West Virginia. And in 2010, I believe that he started a world tour, traversing through Himalayan mountains and traveled to many places, including Sri Lanka. So therefore, we couldn't invite him during that time. So we invited Bhante Gunaratha during this time for our retreats. And then Bhante returned to the US, and then he assumed a new role as a director and the teacher, principal teacher at the new meditation center called Alliance of Wisdom Meditation Center in Gaithersburg. Yes, yeah.
And the Pali name is Panya Siha.
Yeah, Panya Siha Meditation Center. The name is given in honor of a great Sri Lankan Buddhist master who was a pioneer in establishing Washington Buddhist Vihara. So this year, and then after that, we again invited Bhante to conduct retreats in our Natrona Heights place, and he came in 2018 and 2019. But during last 2 years, we could not have in-person meditation, but he was kind enough for us to conduct online retreats in both years from there, and we had online retreats. So this year, we were so fortunate that we can have an in-person session. So as I told you earlier, it is such a great opportunity for all of us to learn from Bhante Rahula, and I think you may have learned about him a little bit, but just to refresh your memory. And he was ordained in 1975, even before I was born, in Sri Lanka. And he traveled to Sri Lanka not by air, but by land. That is the kind of culmination of his odyssey, or of his journey, that he started from Europe, traveling through Middle East, and then traveling to India, from India to traveling to Sri Lanka. He has to take a ship, I think, to go to the island of Sri Lanka. But it's an interesting journey that he made, and so he ended up traveling all the way to Sri Lanka, by land during that time. And so fortunately, after Sri Lanka, there's no land. So that is the kind of culmination of his journey. But actually, the culmination of his journey happened not because there are no other island below Sri Lanka, but because he found Vipassana meditation in Sri Lanka. So that was his culmination of his long journey as a seeker. And he was ordained in 1975. And he was very fortunate to learn from very experienced meditation masters in Sri Lanka. And he spent many years in the forest, in the caves, in very serene places in Sri Lanka. And he has a lot of experiences, being alone in the forest with animals, and a lot of deep experience of meditation in Sri Lanka. So it's that wonderful. His life story is actually written in his autobiography called One Night Shelter. It's one well-known book. We also have a few copies in our library. It's a fascinating read for anyone. It has also been translated to Sinhala and many other languages too. German, yeah, too. And Bhante has also written other books, like Way to Peace and Happiness. That was his, I think, first book, I think, and then Breaking Through the Self-Delusion is a well received book, available in Amazon too. Amazon, and also the small booklet that you have is also his book. And I have also included his one of interesting article at the end of the recitation, so you can read it tonight or maybe tomorrow. So it's such a blessing to have him here, and we are so grateful that he has a special kindness to Pittsburgh Buddhist Center. And so particularly, when I came to the U.S. and I was, helping the Pittsburgh Buddhist Center, and I learned so much from him, because he comes every year to conduct retreats, and even to use the different terms. And I haven't taught meditation in English, before I came here. So being with him was such a great blessing for him, for me also, to learn how to teach meditation in English. So he was such a great help for us. So we are so grateful, Bhante, for accepting our invitation this year. With gratitude, we welcome you. So again, welcome all of you also. And so today we also have Bhante Metta and Bhante Kamalesri have been working so hard to make sure that this place is nice, and if you go to the basement, you can see a big difference there. They have been working hard to prepare that for you. And Bhante Buddhadatta, our new resident monk in Akron, Cleveland Buddhist Vihara, also came to practice with us today. So we have 5 monks together in our Buddhist center today. And welcome you all, and really appreciate your commitment for this on this weekend to come and dedicate your time and arrange a schedule to come and practice meditation with us. And I really wish you all very fruitful, insightful time, and may this practice will bring you the most deepest moment of your meditation experience. That's my wish for you. Yeah. So with that, let us start our program. And first of all, we will observe the 8 non-monastic precepts. Turn to page 1. The next. So this we are observing these 8 precepts. So these are not a typical 8 precepts that usually we observe, on full moons or other opposite days. But these are the precepts that we can actually observe at any day, and also can live by this every day. So I think in your guidelines, I hope that you have read those 8 precepts, and I think you are all willing to observe these precepts, because precepts are not something that we will forcefully impose on you, and precepts are something that you voluntarily observe. So I hope that you're all willing to take them, right? Okay. So please recite Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa 3 times to observe the 8 non-monastic precepts. Can you all chant together? Yeah, say again. Say it. Please repeat after me. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyang pi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyang pi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyang pi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyang pi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyang pi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyang pi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani. Sikkhapadang Sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kamesu micchācara veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Visunaya vācāya veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Parusāya vācāya veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Samphappalāpā veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Micchā ājīvāca. Surameraya majjapama datthanāca veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Tisaranena saddhiṃ ājeva attamaka sīlaṃ dhammam samādayitva sādhukaṃ surakkhitāṃ katva appamādena sampādē tabbaṃ. Let's turn to the other side and let's see the English translations of the precepts. Let's read together. I undertake the training rule to abstain from taking life. I undertake the training rule to abstain from taking what is not given. I undertake the training rule to abstain from sensual misconduct. I undertake the training rule to abstain from false speech. I undertake the training rule to abstain from malicious speech. I undertake the training rule to abstain from harsh speech. I undertake the training rule to abstain from useless speech. I undertake the training rule to abstain from wrong livelihood and from intoxicating drinks, drugs, causing heedlessness.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Where's the mic?
Yeah.
That?
Yeah.
Why don't you keep it down like here? Maybe not right in the front. She got it. I'd like to thank Bhante Pemaratana for inviting me to come back again, especially the first time actually to this new center, which is find very wonderfully situated in the woods. Kind of reminds me of some places I lived at in Sri Lanka, the Bhavana Society, and I want to welcome all of you also to this retreat. Let me just see the hands of those. You can raise your hand. If you've never taken any sort of retreat or meditation practice with me before. So, there are a number of people. Now, I want to first of all mention that unfortunately, I contracted a cold or something like that the last couple of days. And I don't think it's COVID. I took a test; it was negative. But so I still have some runny nose and a kind of hoarse throat and sometimes a cough. So please bear with me for that. So, is there anybody also new to the practice of meditation? Raise your hand. Okay. Everybody looks like they at least meditate once in a while, right? If not every day. So the theme of this retreat is, I guess it was written out there, right? It was balancing and integrating the body, mind, and life with the practice of yoga and Dhamma and meditation.
Finding balance. Finding balance in life.
Finding balance, yes. Or balancing the body, mind, and life. And integrating them. Because for a lot of people, their bodies are one thing and have their own kind of habits and so on. And the mind also has its kind of own life and habits. And then our life in general also is not always, they're not always balanced and integrated. And so over the course of this couple of days, hope to try to, through your own experience, try to understand that or get some experience for that. Because when the body, mind, and our life are disjointed and are not in harmony with the laws of nature, that is the cause of almost all forms of physical or mental problems and sufferings. So that's what we want to explore in using the practice of the yoga meditation. And the yoga is primarily designed at helping to make our body a fit vehicle for the practice of meditation. Because meditation, the mind happens through this body. Basically, it happens between the brain and the spinal column. And that's where all the psychophysical energies of our body and mind are circulating. And if those, the nervous system and the related parts of the body are not in a good condition, that means they don't have a good circulation, and they're not polluted or contaminated with impure sort of substances and other habits, then of course we all know that brings problems. And then our mind also gets caught up in all kinds of negative thoughts and preoccupations, and that also causes lots of problems. And then our life in general. When we talk about life, basically you could say it's observing the precepts, because almost all of our life is determined through the way that we speak, use our body, and think with the mind. And that's where we interact with the world. So actually what you recited tonight, the 8 lifetime precepts, those precepts are the way that we integrate our life with our body and mind, especially with the mind, but with the body as well. But everything starts really with the body. If the body is sick or weak, it's also going to manifest in your mind, the ability of your mind to think clearly and to have the energy to do the practice and so on. And basically it means living according to the laws of nature, living in harmony with the laws of nature, so integrating the physical body, the mind, and then the life in the external world as well. And that is especially concerns like with the law of karma, is where we get entangled with the external world. So I just wanted to mention those things, and we're going to be trying to, practice the meditation that we're going to be doing in the retreat are designed at hopefully facilitating that, hoping that process along. So, have you all seen the schedule? Has everybody seen the schedule? So we don't have to go through it really, but so now this time, as it says in the schedule, is a Dhamma talk. So what is a Dhamma talk? Well, normally when a Buddhist says Dhamma talk, it means somebody is giving a lecture or a talk about the teachings of the Buddha. So the Dhamma, you could say, are the teachings of the Buddha, although there's other kinds of Dhamma out there. There's Yoga Dharma, and there's some other types of religions and so on. It could be considered a kind of a Dhamma, but especially within yoga, they also use the term, but in slightly different ways. But anyway, the teachings of the Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha. Then somebody might say, well, what did the Buddha teach? Well, he taught the Dhamma. People are scratching their head. What came first, the chicken or the egg? The Buddha or the Dhamma? Well, now the Buddha, of course, on many occasions, he said, I've only rediscovered the ancient truth that has been hidden from the world. And basically, so the Buddha didn't discover the Dhamma, he rediscovered it, the ancient truths. But basically, it's the truths about the body, mind, and life. And it's about living in harmony in our body and our mind and the life around us. But especially in terms of the Buddha was interested in, how do people create unnecessary sufferings for themselves? They create unnecessary body sufferings, they create unnecessary mental sufferings, and they create unnecessary sufferings with entanglement with others in the, even their family, relatives and the general world. So, that's what the Buddha was really interested in, is, as I'm pretty sure you all know about the Four Noble Truths. So the Buddha wasn't interested in sort of metaphysics necessarily, or what was the beginning of the world, like Western science is interested in the Big Bang, what exact date billions of years ago did the universe come into existence, or how far does the universe go out, and so on. But the Buddha wasn't interested in that really. He was interested in about the nature of suffering. Why is there suffering in the world? And that was the focus of his noble quest. And then, of course, he attained his realizations, and he put it into that framework of the Four Noble Truths, that suffering exists. What is the cause of the suffering? But more importantly, the suffering can be eliminated or overcome. And then how to actually do it. The way to live, think, and meditate that will unravel the inner tangle and the outer tangle. And to bring all those three aspects of our life, body, mind, and life itself, interaction with the world, into more harmony. And everybody really is searching for happiness. Even take a tiny little ant, right? Little ant crawling along the ground. If you stick your finger down in front of it, what will it normally do? It will stop, maybe turn around, go back, try to go around. Why is that? Because it senses some danger there. So in something that tiny, there's a little ant. There's the desire to be free from pain and suffering, and the desire to find happiness. And look, for an ant down on the ground, our 5 or 6 foot long body is like the World Trade Center. Ants looking up. And how many people were running away from the World Trade Center when it fell down so many years ago? So that's the same way as an ant. But anyway, this idea about the fear, and the fear of pain and the fear of death, people are living in that. So and the desire for happiness. But everybody finds happiness in a different way. And so the Buddha was interested in that, really. What is the nature of suffering and what is the nature of happiness? And he saw that it was due to natural laws. And these natural laws of Dhamma are, the first and most important one is the law of karma, or karma, which you all have know about, at least somewhat. And the law of karma is sort of like a natural law, like the law of gravity, or Newton's law. So in the law of gravity, if you throw something up, what happens? Comes down. Sometimes with a loud thud. So with the law of karma, if you throw something out of your mouth, some kind of words, it goes out and mingles in the minds of other beings, and like a boomerang can come back to affect us by a reaction from others, in sort of Newton's law, an equal or opposite reaction. Like the more hate you put out, more hate you might get back to you. The more love and kindness you put out, the more of that you might get back to you. So that was the Buddha's understanding of that law of nature, that it's in the mind. And also in the 2 verses of the Dhammapada, the Buddha mentioned that all actions are led by the mind. Mind is their master, mind is their maker. If one acts or speaks with an impure mind, then suffering will follow, as the cartwheel follows the foot of the ox. And if one acts or speaks with a pure state of mind, then happiness will follow, as your shadow follows you around. So in these 2 verses really sums up the essence of the Dhamma, the teaching of the Buddha. Then we have to understand what is an impure mind and what is a pure mind. Of course, in the Dhamma teachings, the Buddha defined that as any thought, speech, or actions that are motivated by selfish greed and attachment, anger and hatred, and delusion. And delusion means not understanding the nature of the mind in the world. So, those actions, greed, hatred, and delusion, are the ones that bring suffering, and the opposites, non-greed, non-hatred, and wisdom, bring happiness. So the Buddha didn't make this up. This is sort of the natural laws that govern the operation of the body and mind in the world. And also, the next important law of nature is impermanence, that everything is constantly changing, pretty much beyond our control. So the physical world is constantly changing. I mean, look at all the volcanoes and hurricanes and every other earthquakes and everything. This earth is constantly changing. Even now with the James Webb telescopes, even the universe is constantly changing, and of course our own bodies and minds. So even with that, it's changed. Okay. So how to find this balance and harmony, to live and think in harmony with those laws of nature? And that's really what the Dhamma is about, and what the Buddha really taught. And that's why it starts with the right understanding. The Buddha didn't want people just to believe things because, he said it, or, oh, he's the Buddha, oh, it must be the truth, and, or other criteria. But he wanted people to test it, because it's directly visible if we care to look at it. So anyway, this practice of Dhamma, and one other very important statement that the Buddha brought up or mentioned was that the world, the arising of the world, the ceasing of the world, and the way leading to the ceasing of the world is right within this 5 or 6 foot long body with its nervous system, memory, and consciousness. So what that means basically is our experience of the world is created within the mind, basically. And even though you were living on this physical earth, planet Earth, you still experience the world through your mind. Because people will see the world in different ways. Let's say somebody with some mental disorders like paranoid schizophrenia, or some, they'll think the world is full of demons and, wanting to fight them, or they think everybody's hating them. They see the same physical things on the earth, but their mind is not really there. It could be in a complete psychotic break. And of course, even animals, they're on earth too, right? But they don't experience this earth as the way we do either. So that's one of the understandings of how basically our experience of the world is created within our mind. And that's why the practice of meditation really is one of the important ways for being able to understand that. And there's 3 levels of understanding. So the first thing the Buddha, the first step of the Eightfold Path was right understanding. As I just mentioned, that the Buddha didn't want us to believe anything, just be, because he said it. He wanted to, really understand it. So, but anyway, the first level of understanding is the intellectual understanding. Because most of us who were born in this country, we didn't know anything about Dhamma back before about 1975. Dhamma was basically unheard of in this country for Buddhism. The first Buddhist temple, in Washington was started only in about 1968. But then it was just a very few people, usually ethnic Buddhists, started for their benefit. But I certainly knew nothing about the Buddha or Dhamma until I took a course in world religions, and that was already in 1972. And I went to the library. There were only 6 books on Buddhism in the whole library of a big city, fairly big city. Only 6 books. And so that anyway, getting the intellectual understanding is what we read or hear lectures, but it pricks our interest. We hear something new. Oh, yeah, that's new. And sort of pricks our interest to want to investigate it more. So how do we investigate it more? Is by paying attention to what is happening around us in the world. Most people don't pay attention. They keep on doing things over and over that bring them suffering, but they don't really think about it. They don't stop to think, why am I doing this? Why am I keep, knocking my head against the wall, repeating the same habits over and over again? Or, are these things really bad for me? What are these things that I'm doing? People hardly think about it. So, what is called Chintamaya Panya, these are Pali terms, is the wisdom that comes through reflection. So you reflect, like the law of karma. You think about, okay, yes, you look back in your life and what kind of suffering came to you because you told a lie, you stole something, you slept with somebody else's husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend, or you killed something, or you intoxicated the mind and went out and made a fool of yourself, or maybe you hurt somebody. And then the suffering and the problems that came to your life on account of that. A lot of people don't really reflect on that too much either. But that's what the reflection, the wisdom that comes through reflection. That's a little bit different than just the intellectual wisdom. It's reflecting on, as you're living your life, the effects, the karmic effects that are coming back to you. And sort of like the nature of, how craving is the cause of a lot of suffering, and to really contemplate. So that makes your understanding a little bit more deeper. It's not just an intellectual understanding, it comes from this level of reflection. And then, when you sit to meditate, once you have this level of reflective understanding and you start to meditate, then you're able to focus that, keep your mind focused in the meditation. And then, as you do that, it's like turning up the power of what I call the mental microscope. Concentration is an analogy for the mental microscope, turning up the power. So, you all look through microscopes probably, you turn up the power, you see more details. So anyway, the meditation helps you to see much more deeper details of what you've read about and what you've contemplated or reflected upon also. And those deep understandings or insights are what come out of the insight meditation or the Vipassana methods or the four foundations of mindfulness. It helps to transform the deeper unconscious elements of our mind. There's two layers of our body and mind. One is most people, it's just at the surface level. So you get up in the morning and you look around, okay, this is my house, all these things I got to do, and then I got to get the job, and so the external world. And that's what we are preoccupied with most of the time. But then when you're just idling around or you're sitting in rest and the mind gets carried away in some other kind of things, fantasies or unnecessary fears and worries about things that are coming from, sort of deeper underneath. And these can only be reached through, the deeper levels of meditation. I'm going to be talking about this as we go. So, that practice of but the integration of the mind and the body come first. Because normally our minds and bodies are not really connected. They're doing opposite things. I mean, already you've been sitting here for about 30 minutes. Your body was sitting in this room. How many times your mind maybe thought about somebody back in your house, your child, or something you got to do tomorrow? Be honest, come on. Notice that one hand raised. Okay. So that means there's a disconnect between our body and the mind. And so that's the first level of integration, is bringing the body and the mind back into harmony. So whatever the body is doing, the mind should be doing that. As a simple example, when the body is sitting, the mind should know that you're sitting. That means feel the sitting posture. Feel the sensations of the sitting posture. But, most people will not be able to do that for more than 10 or 15 seconds before their mind, wanders in some kind of thoughts or says, what is this? This is boring, or, goes to sleep. So, but that first stage of integration is bringing the mind back into the body. I'm going to talk more about that probably tomorrow too. But actually this mind was born with this body. According to the Buddhist understanding, at the moment of conception, consciousness coming from another life or realm has joined together or embedded itself in that new one-cell organism. And every time the cell divided, that same awareness or spark of the life force, you could call it, went into each succeeding cell. So in the space of 9 months, You go from a one-cell organism to a multi-billion, or is it a trillion now? I don't know what's the latest count by scientists? How many cells are in a 9-month-old baby? You know? But anyway, they say billions and billions. Right? So that's a lot going on there, right? In the space of 9 months. And that consciousness went into every cell of the body. That means every cell of our body has a kind of awareness. It's not a kind of consciousness that we have right now, but it's it's that life force, but it's a kind of awareness, and they can interact with each other. And this wonderful human body was created in the space of 9 months. I mean, this human body is said to be the most evolved form of life that we know of as of yet. Right? But and that all happened by itself. Now that's why maybe certain religions say, well, it was because of a divine creator being or something like that. But it's basically the natural wisdom, and it happened all by itself. Bill Gates didn't go in there, Steve Jobs didn't go in there, Einstein didn't go in there and cause it to happen. Or Donald Trump, forbid. No, I'm sorry, I don't want to get okay. But so that happened because of the natural wisdom. And all these different systems of the body, they all work perfectly. Really, it was made such, the whole circulation system, the respiration, and the immune system. The body basically, knew how to heal itself. You get a cut, and the body knows how to clot. You make a little blood clot to stop the bleeding. Where the immune system, the foreign viruses, bacteria come in, and the white blood cells go out and gobble them up. And they all communicate. The cell in your toe communicate to the cells in your brain or other places. So that's what I call the inner internet. We talk about the internet, right? But that's the real internet. That's the body's internet. But most people, they don't have the password. And they've lost the ability to heal themselves. But what happens, and at that time, so for 9 months of the baby's life in the womb, the mind was totally fused together or integrated with the body, because awareness was in every cell of the body. And basically that was occurring in the present moment. But when the baby came out, now the parents give it a name, little Johnny, little Susie, and everybody comes over to pick it up, and and then little by little, it starts looking outward and seeing all kind of different things, and the parents start saying, that's kitty, that's doggy, that's brother, sister. And now what used to be totally kind of at one with the body is now getting focused outside. And the more it starts wanting to focus and learning on so many things, the further it gets taken away from the body. And then the sweet grandmother comes by and gives the baby the first chocolate. So the baby tastes the chocolate and gets a pleasant feeling on the tongue. And then, because of that, he starts to hope that that face comes again, because that face is what it it seizes the source of that pleasurable feeling. And then the grandfather or the uncle maybe squeezes the baby too tight or doesn't give it anything. And then the baby will think, or get a painful feeling or a neutral feeling. And the baby either has indifference to that person or has aversion, doesn't want that person to come again in the future. That is the birth of the past and future. Most people don't even know what the past and future is. You say that, they say, well, back in 1800 this happened, the future. No. The past and future are created in your mind. And that was how it happened. And it's based on this syndrome, what I call the pleasure-pain syndrome. The mind wanting pleasurable feeling and to escape or keep away from painful feeling. And just check up in your own life, see if that doesn't hold true. Almost from everything from the moment you get up in the morning to the moment you go to sleep at night, the mind is always on the lookout for, getting some pleasurable feeling or getting away from pain. Like how many times do you change your posture and going like this in the daytime and, to get away from some unpleasant sensations. So anyway, I'm just kind of wanted to lay that out there so that because this is a very important part of understanding about how our mind has become disconnected from the natural harmony and starts to focus outwardly. That we've lost that present moment awareness. So really this body, the breathing body with all of its sensations, is the natural connection to the present moment. That means it's just here. All those things are happening in the present moment. It's when you start to think of other things and starting to think, well, my body 10 years ago was like this, or in the future it's going to be like this, then your mind is getting out of the present moment. And then worries and fears and anxieties arise, thinking that you won't get the pleasurable feeling in the future, or that decay and death won't come, and these unpleasant sensations will not come to you in the future. And that's the reason for so many worries, fears, anxieties, because people's minds are caught in the past and the future. And the reason they are is they've lost the natural connection with the body. And so that's why the Buddha saw this, and that's why the very first step of meditation is learning to sit down and keep your body in a meditation posture and focus on your breathing. Because the breathing is the main predominant function that's going on in the body all the time. But it's not only the breathing, but also to feel the sitting posture and so on. And using that as an anchor, what's called the anchor to the present moment. Because if you could just sit down and just keep remembering, this is something as simple as just sitting, breathing, and actually feeling it, feeling the different sensations. If you could do that for just 5 minutes, actually, without any intruding thought, you would be in a deep state of meditation. Well, why can't we do that? Well, it's because no one's told us how to do it. So anyway, this is sort of the first stage of learning how to reintegrate the body back with the mind. And developing mindfulness. And so the yoga is one of the best ways to do that on a more sort of active level. Because the three main hindrances or difficulties to meditate are sleepiness, it's the worst one. And then physical pains that keep disturbing the mind, worrying about the pains. And if there's sleepiness and pains don't get you, then what? The monkey mind, right? The mind is all over the map. Thinking about something. So even though traditionally they talk about 5 hindrances, 3 of those can be lumped into just thinking. Doubt, sense, desires, aversions. It's basically just thoughts. So to keep it simple, I don't know why one of the 5 hindrances are not about. One of them is sleepiness, but so anyway. So a lot of sleepiness and pain is due to poor circulation in the body, because all these cells of the body need oxygen and other nutriments that are brought in with the breathing. Not only oxygen, but also, if you studied yoga, the prana, the life force, is basically like the awareness. But but most people, and we get most of that through breathing. But any doctor will tell you that people only breathe 1/10 of their lung capacity in normal breathing. I mean, the lung was made pretty large for a purpose, to be used, right? But it's a fact that most people don't use it. They have short and shallow breathing, and there are different reasons for that. But one of them is we've never been told. Only nowadays, some doctors are starting to tell people, "Oh, you should do deep breathing." Yeah, but why did this come thousands of years too late? And that in itself, poor, faulty breathing, is a cause of many problems in the body. And also, it's like half dead. When you ask people to feel the body, it's like it's only a pain that they feel, or they just feel some vague sensations, but usually the mind is lost in thoughts. So it's not really connected to the body, and they don't feel that. And even if they were focusing, they can't feel much because it's half dead. And so apart from the breathing, is if the joints of the body and the muscle tissues are dense and compacted, then it's not able to get out to all the blood, and the oxygen is not able to get out to all the remote nooks and crannies of cells of the body. And also it gets dammed up like water behind a dam, right? If your joints are all stiff and it can't really flow freely, then mostly pain is due to that blocked energy. And that's one of the whole ideas behind like acupressure, acupuncture, and so on, and getting the energy to flow. So yoga is designed for that. That's why the yoga is a whole science on its own of the body and mind. And unfortunately, I had the good karma that when I started to practice the meditation in India way back in 1973, I got interested in the yoga at the same time. And so I never thought of them as being 2 different things. And if you do the yoga in the right way, it's kind of a meditation in itself. And I hope to be able to, that you have some experience with that in this retreat. So I don't want to give away all the secrets. So I'm gonna. Does anybody have any questions? I think according to the schedule, there's supposed to be time for questions tonight. Does anybody have any specific questions about anything I just talked about? I mean, that's a whole lot of stuff we just went over. I'll be going over it again anyway. But if anything stands out and you want to ask a question. Yes?
Do you ever stop thinking?
Yes.
Use it like?
It's wonderful. Because most thoughts are connected with the past and the future. And the past and the future is connected with greed, hatred, and delusion, and worries and fears and anxiety, which cause the mind to, spin out and get lost in the thoughts. So, but we have to slow the thoughts down. You can't just turn off your thoughts, but through a long period of time and practice. First, you have to know that you're thinking, and you have to be mindful. Oh, this thought is coming into my mind now. And then you have to see this thought is one that's going to cause suffering, or this thought is one that's not going to cause suffering. Part of the right effort. And then you let go of the ones that cause suffering. And you cultivate ones that lead to more happiness, such as metta, the thoughts of metta, friendliness, and other wholesome types of thoughts. Anyway, we will talk more about that later. But yeah, it's if you practice meditation, you slow them down, and the thoughts are not the problem really. It's a confused thinking, and it is getting lost in the thoughts. That's what causes them to trigger off all kind of other physical and neurological problems. Well, actually, second step of the Eightfold Path is right thought. So, but we have to cultivate the wholesome thoughts in order to replace them with predominant negative thoughts that are coming into our mind. Okay? So, if there's no other questions, then we're going to now stand up. I'm going to lead you through a kind of a preliminary standing breathing and standing awareness. So you're able to hear me all well over in the back too. Now in this meditation, we're going to just use the body and the breathing, and just try to remember, the present moment, using this body and breathing as an anchor to the present moment. And just try to relax your arms at the side. Does that help? I'm not just keep it away. I might just with my hand.
No, it's good.
Okay. So it's better if you don't stand on the thick cushions because they make you a little wobbly. You have your feet have a problem with getting the hard flow. But just relax your arms. Now gently close your eyes. Just try to feel your eyes resting in the socket. And try to feel the eyelids stretched over the eyeballs. Just mentally remind yourself of standing. From that point behind the eyes, see if you can feel a vague kind of outline of the standing body. The eyes are kind of like a natural video camera. Our fleshy eyes see the external world, but awareness can see the inner world, sensation. Just try to feel a vague sense of the head on top, the arms at the side, clothing touching the skin on different places. Just feel the feet pressing the floor. See if you kind of feel that outline of the body in the mind's eye, the eye of awareness. Just mentally remember standing, the present moment of the body. Just let the thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. And keep that feeling of standing body, remembering it in the front of the awareness. And also begin some deep, slow breathing. Try to take 3 or 4 seconds to expand your abdomen, rib cage, and upper chest, drawing the air from the lower lung up to the top. Feel the expansion in the upper chest. Hold the air in for 2 or 3 seconds. Allow the oxygen to get into the bloodstream and slowly breathe out. Try to feel the last bit of air go out of the lungs on the out breath. Try to take several more deep, slow breaths like that, cultivating this basic mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Hold the air in. Breathing out, standing here and now. Feel the outline of the body. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to combine this deep, slow breathing with fairly simple movements or exercises. You can open your eyes and observe me as I lead you through them. Quite easy, but we try to coordinate the breathing with those movements. That means on the in-breath, we go into the position on an in-breath. We try to hold that position for 2 or 3 seconds, keeping the air in the lungs. And on the out-breath, returning to the starting point on the out-breath. And try to repeat each movement 3 times. So on the next in-breath, raise the arms over the head. Interlock your fingers, turn the palms up, straighten the arms, stretch upwards, stretch your head back to look at the back of your hand. On the out breath, turn the palms down, touch the top of your head. Once again, in breath, palms up, straighten the arms, stretch your head back, stretch upward, bend back a little bit. Out breath, touch the top of the head. And the third time, try to hold that upward stretch longer. And bend back a little more. Feel the arch in the lower spine. Feel the sensation. Now release the fingers on the out breath, arms back to the side. Close your eyes. You feel the hands, feel the increased pulsation in your hands and fingers. A little tingling sensation due to the increased oxygen. And again, just feel the eyes and the socket. Try to feel that outline of the body. Remember standing, present moment of the body. Just letting go of your thoughts. Let them come and go in the back of the mind. And always keep remembering standing. Now the next exercise on an in-breath. Lift up on the toes and raise your arms up over the head in this way, facing your hands toward each other a few inches apart, and stretch up. Keep your fingers and arms straight. On the out breath, come back down, arms to the side, heels to the floor. Use the in-breath to help lift up the body. In-breath. Like blowing up a helium balloon, the body raises up. Out. Once more in. Out. Let's close the eyes. Just feel the eyes and the sockets. Feel the outline of the body. Feel the increased sensations in your fingers. Or any other sensations on the body. Feeling the clothing, touching the skin. The more sensations you can feel, the less chance for your mind to get lost in unnecessary thought. Just think about standing. And next we'll do side bending. On the next in-breath, raise both arms up. And keep your fingers and arms straight, close to your head. And on the out-breath, bend over your right side as far as you comfortably can. Try to keep the arms and hands parallel to each other like railroad tracks. On the in-breath, lift up. On the other side, out-breath. In-breath up. Begin to the right, out breath. In breath. To the left, out breath. In breath. Once more to each side, out breath. To the right. In. Out. In. And the out breath, lower the arms. Close the eyes. Feel those increased body sensations, life force vibration. All those sensations you feel are basically just the cellular vibration, the life force vibration. Remember standing, the here and now of the body. And now just one last simple exercise. The head turning from right to left. On an in-breath, turn your head to the right as far as you comfortably can. Try not to move your shoulders. You look over your right shoulder. On the out-breath, turn the head 180 degrees back to the left. Look over the left shoulder. If you have a stiff neck, just be careful. In breath back to the right. Feel or imagine the neck vertebrae loosening up. Out breath left. Once more to each side. And the next in-breath, let the head stop in the center. Keep the eyes closed. Feel that outline of the body. Feel that organic aliveness of the body due to the increased deep breathing and the stretching, while you feel more life force vibration, the activated life force. The body has more feelings like that, and it's easier to keep the mind in the body. There's only pain, and the mind doesn't want to stay in the body. A lot of those life force vibrations, subtle vibrations, are quite pleasant. A little tingling sensation. Even the pulse, feeling the pulse of blood in the artery is also a very pleasing sensation. Okay. So now we're going to sit down and try to continue this in the sitting posture. But how many of you, after doing that, at the end could feel a lot more sensations in the body? Little tingling sensations, even the pulse of the blood. And for how many people was that a pleasant thing?
Yeah.
It wasn't a toothache or something like that, right? So that's always there in our body, but people, they've lost the ability to feel that. And so if you can maintain that when you meditate, the meditation becomes much more easier to do. So go ahead and sit back down. Especially in the sitting meditation, it's important to try to keep the spine and the back of the head in a straight line, because when the spine is straight, and those life force vibrations are able to move a lot easier and fuller throughout the system. But if you start slouching, that impedes that flow, and then you become half asleep or lost in your thoughts. So first of all, again, just close your eyes. Feel the eyes in the socket. Feel the eyelids stretched over the eyeball. Feel those subtle sensations. If you can feel that outline of the body, that vague outline, the head on top, the arms at the sides, hands touching together or touching the leg, buttocks pressing the seat. So try to feel the natural inward curve of the lower lumbar spine. Natural inward curve is important to support the upper body. You let that natural inward curve bulge outwards, and gravity will just keep pushing you down. So you can sort of just imagine your spinal cord in the middle of your back, going up to join the skull. Just try to hold that outline of the body in the mind's eye. Remember sitting. Now again, begin some deep, slow breathing as we did during the yoga. Try to take 3 or 4 seconds to expand the abdomen, rib cage, and upper chest, holding the air in for 2 seconds, and slowly breathing out. Just cultivate this basic mindfulness of breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to try to count our breaths from 1 to 10 to gain a more concentration on the breathing. I'll do the counting for you. Just try to follow that in your mind. Try to continue to take some deeper breaths if you can. Don't strain at the breathing. With the next expanding in-breath, mentally count to 1. Feel the brief pause. And with the contracting out-breath, also count to 1. Feel the last bit of air go out. Next in-breath, 2. Out-breath, 2. In, 3. Out, 3. In, 4. Out, 4. In, 5. Out, 5. In, 6. Out, 6. In, 7. Out, 7. In, 8. Out, 8. In, 9. Out, 9. In, 10. Out, 10. Now discontinue the counting. Let your breathing return to its uncontrolled, shorter, irregular rhythm, but continue to feel it, to observe it. Keep your attention focused in the center of the body. Feel the residual expanding and contracting sensation. Feel where the clothing rubs against the skin of your stomach, rib cage, your chest as it expands and contracts. Make that the focal point of your attention. Just knowing when the breath is coming in and knowing when the breath is going out. You know it by feeling it. Let your thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Keep the feeling of the breathing body in the front of the awareness. But I have the feeling of being like a scientist sitting in a laboratory looking down through a microscope. breathing body is the laboratory for a meditator. The microscope is concentrated awareness. You're just looking down that microscope in your abdomen, stomach, chest area. Just feeling where the clothing rubs against the skin as it expands and contracts. A reminder of the present moment. You're breathing in and breathing out. Also be aware of the brief pauses between the breaths. After the in-breath, there's a brief pause, maybe just a half a second or longer. And after the out-breath, also a brief pause. Important to notice the pauses as they connect the in-breath to the out-breath. If it helps you to stay focused, you can use these brief mental reminders. In sitting, out, sitting. The ongoing, continuous present moment of this body. In sitting, out, sitting. In those brief pauses, feel the outline of the body. Just remember that much. In sitting, out, sitting. It's not much to remember. At the same time, be alert for thoughts sneaking up into the mind, steal your attention away. Get carried away in thoughts, recognize it as thinking. Take a deep, slow breath, bring the mind back into the body. Back to in sitting. Out, sitting. Breath by breath, moment by moment. You get distracted by any sound, just note that as just hearing. Sound vibration coming and going. Keep remembering sitting, breathing, sitting, breathing. You have too many thoughts still in the mind. Go back and do some deep, slow breathing and help you to stay more centered, awake in the body. And try to count the breaths from 1 to 10 on your own, without getting lost. In sitting, out, out, sitting. Breathing body is the mind's natural connection, the natural present moment awareness. We lose that connection to the present moment, to the breathing body, and the mind gets easily distracted, carried away in thoughts of past or future, greed, hatred, delusion, worries, fear. This breathing body is the true home for this mind. Mind and body were born together. It's always there, just beneath your nose. Dukkha pata ca nidukkha bhaya pata ca nibbaya soka pata ca nisoka ontu sabbi pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. In this way, may all beings live with mindfulness and wisdom. Thus spoke the Buddha. You can now mindfully place your hands at the edge of your knees. Take one more deep breath. As you breathe in, stretch your head back. You pull the hands against your knees to arch backwards as far as you can. Hold it a few moments. Arching the spine. An in-breath, lift the head up. On an out-breath, press the chin to the top of the chest. Stretch the neck vertebrae. And lift the chin up level on an in-breath. And relax on the out-breath. Don't let the mind rush to the future. Keep feeling the body, the outline of the body. The reason you can kind of feel the outline of the body, I mean, normally we never do, but the reason you can is because every cell in the body is connected to the web, the internet, the inner web, all the cells connecting to the nervous system. So when you tune into that, it's almost like you're awakening that web of awareness, because all those cells have awareness. It's the present moment. Okay, friends, this brings our first evening to an end. I hope you're able to have a peaceful meditation. How many people had a good meditation? How many people could feel the outline of the body there? Did you feel nice? Yeah, most people know nothing about it. It's there all the time. And when you can feel that, then the mind is sort of disconnected from, going in and trying to grab or feel certain things within that body. There's more space there. It's what I call the space of awareness. And that's really the first stage of deeper meditation. Anyway, so tomorrow we'll try to get a good night's sleep tonight, and if you can, it's the simplest thing. It's just always try to remind yourself, what is this body doing right now? You're standing and breathing, sitting and breathing, walking and breathing. Even you're laying down in your bed, just try to feel when you go to sleep tonight. See if you can just feel that outline of the laying body, before you go off to sleep. Wonderful. Then take a few deep, slow breaths. Especially if you have trouble sleeping, then deep, slow breathing is considered a good way to help calm the nervous system. All right? See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.